All right, so here's our recording. It's what's the day? Is it Tuesday, 7th of June? We're about to start the training session on what is the Satrix 40, what's the JSE Overall Index, so that people can watch this video and learn and make it happen. So before I even explain to you what the Satrix 40 is, let me explain to you how the JSE Overall is calculated. Okay, so let me explain to you how we, when you watch the news at night, I'm sure you see they say the stock market so many points up and so many points down. So if I draw a graph here of the stock exchange and I go back to 1898 when the stock market started, right up to present day where we are now, you'll have a graph here with a timeline. I'll put time over there. And obviously you have the values of the shares over here. Everyone there? So when the stock market initially started, there was only a few companies. Let's say the number of people that are sitting in this room, 10 or 12 or 15, whatever we are. So what you do to calculate the overall index is, over 100 years ago, they said there's X amount of companies. Let's take the value of these companies, each company, we add it all together, and we start with a base value of 100% or 100 points. Everyone there? If you now look at the news this morning and you see that the market is on 53,772 points this morning, what it actually means is over the last 100 years, the stock market grew with 53,772%. Isn't that scary? Everyone there? So the average or the overall, the JSE Overall Index is calculated in a very simple way. It's almost like a group of people want to lose weight. If you take me and Belinda, Elmine, Dean and Louisa, there's 5 of us. Each of us will have a starting weight. We go and climb on the scale. We say this is the story. Every day you weigh us. You divide it by the 5 people to get the average. Everyone there? And then you can start plotting a graph of our average weight. And if the thing goes up, you can see we're all picking up weight. We're not dieting. And if it's on average coming down, you know that there's a downtrend. So what happens with the stock exchange is exactly the same thing. You have all these companies performing in their own way. Obviously, the graphs are never as smooth as I show you on this picture. But I'm sure you understand some of them over a period of time go up. Some go down. There are cycles up and down, whatever. The short story is, what the JSE does every single day is it adds up all the values of these companies, gets a total value, divided by the number of companies that they've added together, and they get an average value for that day. Tomorrow, they do exactly the same thing. They take the values of all those companies, add it all together, divide by the number of companies, and they will get a new average. And so we plot the average every single day, and then they take their little computer program and they join those average points with a graph, and that is your average performance of the whole stock market. Everyone then is represented by that average line. I don't know, are you guys with me? Did I explain it good enough? I haven't explained it for long, so I can't remember if I'm
So
that
if they
good.
say it's up and down, it's an average to the previous day.
Correct. When they say the market's up 5 points, it's compared to yesterday.
Okay.
So when they say the stock market's up so many points, you know that more companies went up yesterday than down. That's why the whole market on average is moving up. When they say it's down 2.7% or so many points down, you know that overall more companies went up than down, and now we're in a downward trend. That's what you establish. Does that make sense? Now,
And the basic is the same on Safix.
on the Satrix 40, it's
No, Safix.
same thing on
Same.
Safix. Well, actually, no. The Safix is the South African Futures Exchange. So that's where you trade single stock futures. Safix is not an average. The Satrix 40 is once an average of 40 companies on the JSE. So as we calculate an average of the whole JSE Overall Index, there are obviously subcategories. When you look at the average for the bank shares, it's exactly the same calculation. All they've now done is said, okay, there's X amount of companies that are banking shares. Let's go and plot those shares. Let's get the average for banking shares. Now we know what the average for that is. And there's an average for all the gold shares. And there's an average for all the industrial shares or mining shares. So maybe the first question you should ask is, why is this even important? Can I tell you why it's important? If you know that that's the average, where does the good companies lie? Above the average or below the average?
Above.
Of course. Because in order for the average to lie there, some companies had to outperform the average and some companies had to underperform it. So if you are a prudent person, what you should actually do is say, what are the banking shares that I'm interested in? Okay, let me take a step back. There are 12 banking companies, just as an example. I haven't counted, so I'm just saying 12 as an example. Where is that average? Okay, some of those, for the average to be there, some have to perform above, some have to perform below. So your very first step as a prudent person would say, let me cut all the crap out. Let me only trade in the companies that beat the average. Because if I do that, my average will be made up of that group of people, and I'll outperform the rest of the JSE already. That's what makes it important. So if I look at the JSE overall and industry average, it tells me if the thing's going up or down in general. That's the first thing we use it for. And the second thing is, I want to choose companies that outperform the average of that industry, because if I choose those people, my average will be better, because I don't have any of the shit ones in my portfolio. I'm not trading any of the poor ones. So when people say they buy, the Satrix 40 is almost like a unit trust. They put 40 companies together in a basket. So now you get the benefit of 40 established companies. You can afford it. Obviously, you can't really trade, or you can day trade if you like, if you really want. But it's for people who are more conservative, who are just climbing in for the long haul. They don't really know what they're doing. They don't have the knowledge. They don't go into it actively. Blah, blah, blah. Any questions around this? Can I save the recording and we can upload it for people to look at?
Made with Doodlecast Pro.